Hello, I'm Regina McCann-Hess, president of Forge Wealth Management, and welcome to Women in Wealth video series and podcast. And today I have a new friend with me. And Sharon, can you tell us who you are, what you do, and what you love about what you do?
All right, 3 questions in a row.
Uh,
My name is Sharon Willis, and I am one of the co-founders and currently the vice president of sales and customer relations at Integral Molecular, a biotechnology company in Philadelphia. So what do I do? Small company. We have about, well, not so small anymore. We have over 100 employees. I still have that small company mentality, but so small company, many hats. So I manage our sales and marketing, and as my title says, customer relations. Business in general is built on customer relations. So really fostering that. And I don't see myself as a salesperson. I see myself as a problem solver. What problems do you have with your project? We're very involved in drug discovery and characterization of new drugs going into clinical trials. And we offer a lot of great solutions. So we really try to help our customers with the problems they're having, the needs that they have, so that they can efficiently move their drugs into preclinical studies and make sure that the drugs are safe and really great. And so I do a lot of that. I help out across the company with project management, making sure people have what they need to do what they need, are supporting our scientists and then our office staff. So I'm involved in just many different aspects of the day-to-day operations at the company. And what do I love about my job? What I love most about my job is the people that I get to work with. We hire amazingly talented scientists at all levels, associate's degree, bachelor's degree, master's, PhDs, and then also really dedicated, smart, talented office staff. So our HR and our finance, our talent acquisition, our marketing team, our sales associates. So my favorite part of the day is going to work and interacting with those people and helping them grow in their jobs, do a good job, recognize the hard work that they do, and really help them grow in their careers. I really feel that's an important part of my job is helping people grow in their careers.
Yeah, and I know from our conversations that is so true. From I know you've told me stories about, we were shorthanded or we were on a time limit and you just jumped in and got on in the line and did whatever had to be done. So
Yep.
you're still, I love that it's not really a small company anymore, but you still have that small company mindset. You're like, hey, every hand's on deck, get it done.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, that's great.
Exactly.
That's great.
Yeah. It's important. And that's what builds a good work environment and good work relationships, and helps people really want to do well and thrive and grow and learn at Integral Molecular.
Yeah. And I know you had mentioned, again, off camera, some of the things that your company does with local schools or local education projects. Give us a little bit of background on that, because I find that fascinating and so smart of your company to do that.
Yeah, we really feel helping to find and educate and train the next generation of scientists is critical. You have to, it's part of kind of your duty and your job to train that next generation. And there's a biotech boom going on in Philadelphia with all of the cell and gene therapy technology and really new companies spinning out of the universities on, sometimes it feels like a weekly basis.
It's
But
crazy.
certainly it's crazy. Certainly every year there's new companies, and which is wonderful. But for those companies to be successful, they need employees who are trained and who can work in the lab to do all the amazing science that needs to get done for, again, for these drug discovery efforts, drug development efforts, to get these amazing technologies and drugs into clinical trials and approved and into human beings to save lives. So we very early on, well, probably over 10 years ago, started working with the Wistar Institute. It's a program called the Biotechnician Training Program. And at the time, early on, it was a program that worked with Community College of Philadelphia to take some of their students, give them a summer program to get them hands-on experience in the lab, to really start learning those basic skills: pipetting, running gels, running an assay called an ELISA, being able to grow bacteria and make DNA, all different kinds of basic laboratory techniques. Get these kids, these students, into a training lab for a couple of weeks, and then get them out into real labs. So academic labs, at Wistar and the University of Pennsylvania, and then they had some industry partnerships as well. And so we started taking a little over 10 years ago, 2 of their interns every summer, to really say, okay,
Yeah.
you've learned all these great techniques and these fundamentals. Now let's teach you how they're applied and how you can expand on that.
Yeah.
And what was really great about that program was we wound up hiring some of those interns as employees, and they're still great employees. So, it's great for the students going through these programs, but then it's also amazing for companies like us, these internships. And also we do a lot with the Drexel Co-op program, to have these students come in and learn and contribute, for sometimes it's 3 weeks, sometimes it's 6 months, just depending on the program. But they get to learn and try us out, and we get to try them out. And then at the end, a lot of times we wind up with amazing employees who have been through a training process already, and they can come on board, once they graduate, as a full-time employee, and just really get up and running really, really quickly. And what's been nice over the last few years is programs like the Wistar program have been catching on and growing in other places across the city. So the Science Center, our company is located in University City in the Science Center corridor. So the Science Center itself has programs to enhance science education for middle and high school students. So, how do you spark that interest early on with kids so that they realize, it's one thing, you get to high school and you're like, oh, I'm not good at math, I'm not good at science, but you are, right? It just, someone has not sparked that interest. So the firsthand program at the Science Center really helps spark that interest in middle and high school students across the city, which is amazing. And then more recently, we've started on a program directly with the Community College of Philadelphia, also for a technician training program. But it's really geared towards residents of Philadelphia who maybe aren't going to get an associate's degree. They're not interested in getting an associate's or a bachelor, but maybe they're interested in a career change or curious about science. And so, it's a program that's just started, again, to get those interested residents some basic lab skills, hands-on lab skills. And then in August, we'll have a few interns from that program.
It really speaks volumes about how much you care about your employees, your company, and your industry, that you and your company are spending so much time and energy doing this education program and mentoring program. I mean, that is huge, huge.
Yeah, thank you. It is huge, and it's a big commitment, but it's so win-win.
Yeah.
Our employees who are engaged with these programs, they love it. They love teaching, they love mentoring, and it's such a great opportunity for them to use those skills, to enhance those skills for such a good cause. And then, as I said, it builds our pool of potential employees.
Yeah.
And so, it's win-win. We are giving a lot, but we're also getting a lot. So it's great.
That's amazing. Amazing. So I know you are in an industry that is, sorry, I know you're in an industry that is like basically exploding in Philadelphia. And I'm sure it's competitive, but there's positives and negatives about that. Um, so what are like some of the things that your company is doing that I like every company that's in this area may be focusing on something a little bit different, or you may be competing with each other on certain things. Is there a certain theme that your company is working on right now that you're allowed to speak about? Because we don't want any secrets out there.
Right. Exactly.
Give us an idea of where your sweet spot is.
Right. Yeah. So we're really a company built on innovation. So at our core, we do a lot of research and development to develop tools, platform services to discover these really cool new to discover and characterize these really cool new antibody-based therapeutics. And so I think since the pandemic, everyone has heard the word viruses, everyone has heard the word antibodies, and especially living in the Philadelphia area with all the new technology coming out of the universities, there's a lot of really innovative ways that antibodies are being used to very specifically target different diseases and specifically different cancers. So what our company does is we have our own internal pipeline where we are discovering these new antibodies. If you kind of think about drug discovery as a 10 to 15 year process, pretty much years 1 through 5 are discovery of the new molecules, the new antibodies, characterizing them, making sure that they have the properties that are going to be needed for the drug and what it's targeting in the body. So we're really in that 1 year to 5, where we're discovering the new antibodies, we're characterizing them, we're really understanding them inside out to get them ready to go into clinical trials. So internally, we discover these, we call them assets. So these assets, these new potential antibody drugs, we characterize them, we get them ready for IND, and then we partner with a larger company or a different kind of company who has the resources to take that through clinical trials. Because really, it takes about $3 billion to get a new drug on the market. And so at some point you need to partner, with someone who has access to that kind of capital.
That's a lot of capital.
No, that's a lot. It's a lot.
Capital.
It's a lot, and it's a long process. So yes. So currently we have one of our molecules, which is for gynecologic cancers. We've partnered with Context Therapeutics, which is another Philadelphia-based company, another small company. And so we're currently co-developing that molecule, and with the hopes of filing for IND in 2024, which is really exciting. We've done another license with AstraZeneca, and then another license with a company in South Korea. So that's kind of our internal work. And then externally, we do a lot of the same work, but in smaller pieces. So we'll use our technologies to work with a different company to do some specificity profiling of their molecule to make sure that it only binds the target it's supposed to bind and nothing else. That's one actually really nice thing about antibody drugs, is that they're usually very specific. So which means they have fewer side effects than like a traditional chemotherapy. So we offer other support services that someone can come to us kind of almost like an a la carte menu. I have this drug and I need this done with it, and we can do that. So we can do whole projects with partners, where there's licensing, so that builds long-term value for the company. But then we also have fee for service products and services that we sell to other biotech and pharmaceutical companies.
Wow, it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. So if people wanted to learn more about your company, what's your website for the company?
So our website is www.integralmolecular.com. It's a little long, but
That's perfect.
INTEGRAL molecular.com.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, it's actually a really cool website. I was playing around on it. There's so much information on there.
There's a
It's
lot of information there. Yeah, we have a great
yeah,
marketing team. Yeah.
yeah, very cool, very cool. So you have been in the industry for a few years. What are some of the challenges that you have faced as a professional woman?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And I think about this all the time. One I have to say, I have been a very fortunate professional woman. Through high school, through college, through graduate school, through my postdoc at the University of Pennsylvania, I have had amazing mentors. And what's interesting, they've all been men. With one exception, when I was in my postdoc, I was in a lab that was co-run by two professors, and one was a man and one was a woman. So, but up until then, all of my mentors were exclusively men, which is very interesting. But they were all so supportive,
That's
just
great.
amazingly wonderful. Um, and so, that has been a challenge, is having female role models. Um, and that's one of the things I like being, is a female role model for our female employees at Integral Molecular. Another challenge, especially with starting a company, and again, my two main co-founders are men, and they're amazing. They're so supportive, Bender and Joe Rucker. But when we started the company, and there were just very few of us, I was the first employee with children.
Hmm.
And then, I had breast cancer. I was the first employee, to take a medical leave, and we didn't have any policies around that. So I really, was a groundbreaker. And again, it was all very fair. Everything
Yeah,
turned out just fine. But just being that first person in a company to go through so many things. And now I see, for our current employees, we have policies in place, we have systems in place, we have supports in place. And so, I'm very proud to have been that trailblazer, but it wasn't easy, right?
yeah, yeah,
So being the one that the policies had to be built around, there was a lot of, unsureness, and, well, but what about this and what about that? And which just kind of adds stress, especially on the cancer front, to that
yeah.
situation. But again, it all worked out just fine.
Thank
Um,
you.
so it's been, that has been some challenging times. And then, just we have we have more than 50% women at Integral
Oh,
Molecular, which is awesome. Last I
that's
looked, I think we were at 53%. We have
wow.
a middle management level, where I think also a little over 50% of our kind of mid-level managers are women, which is amazing.
It
And
is
then our
amazing.
executive team, is about 25% women. Um,
Okay.
so that's, and that's good. That's kind of the industry standard. But how do we get that higher, up
Right.
to, match the rest of the company where that is at 50%? And then, I go to lots of networking events, with other C-level executives across Philadelphia. And, there's more and more women, but it's still predominantly men. A lot of meetings, I'm one of one or two women in the meeting, although this was pre-pandemic. I was in Boston with one of my colleagues, meeting with some other new small company people. And at the end of the meeting, we all looked around and we were like, "Oh my gosh, it's all women in this room." And that
Oh,
was an amazing moment, right? So those meetings are starting to happen, where,
fabulous.
there are some meetings where it's all women, or it's all women and, one or two men. So I am
Mhm.
seeing that shift. But
Yeah. Oh,
it's
that's
really having
fabulous.
those having those female role, it's hard for me to find other female role models and mentors. And and I'm happy to really fill that role at our company. So that's kind of been one of the biggest challenges, is, you know, being that groundbreaker, and then having role models.
Yeah, that's spectacular. I'm so glad you had great mentors, whether or not they're male or
Yeah,
female. I'm
exactly.
glad that you had great mentors, and it's so thrilling that you know you are focusing on making sure that there are more women role models for not just your employees but people in the industry as well. So
Hmm.
that's fantastic. I also, you know, in a very male dominated industry, and most of my
Yes.
mentors were men as well. Great guys. I was lucky that I have a few female mentors along the way. Actually, one and recently in the past couple of years has been a great mentor of mine. So mentors, male or female, can really help
Yep.
you in so many ways. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
one last question. I know you are a trailblazer in many ways and you have a lot to do in your career, but let's take a time machine. And what is your vision of retirement?
What is my vision of retirement? Well, my husband and I have recently gotten the travel bug, right? So last summer we went to Galapagos, and this summer we were in Italy. My husband,
Sweet.
you know, and I do have to say, my husband's an amazing eighth grade science teacher in Lower Merion, and I would not have been able. We have two amazing children, very successful in their own right, and, you know, none of this would have been as straightforward, not certainly easy, but possible without him, right? Same spring break as the kids, summers off. That just is such a gift. Everyone should marry a teacher.
Yeah, for sure.
So we've certainly gotten the travel bug. So I see more travel in our future. You know, and especially once we retire, my parents, when my father retired, when my parents retired, they did two amazing trips a year, and, you know, have basically covered every continent in their retirement. So that's a pretty good role model for us there. And then also, I think, you know, I like to be busy. I love to volunteer. You know, there's a couple of organizations I work with. AWIS is American Women in Science. They have a really great mentoring program that I work with, and I recently joined Women in Bio, and have started getting involved with their mentoring program. I'm a lifelong Girl Scout, um, and so. And I also currently volunteer for an organization called the Fresh Air Fund in New York City that gets city kids out of New York, you know, underprivileged city kids out of New York for a summer vacation, either in a camp or with a host family at somewhere on the East Coast. So, you know, I definitely see myself having more time to do some of these volunteer activities and get more involved. And, you know, I think really continuing on the workforce development pathway, and, you know, how we can engage more residents of the city, you know, and get more people interested in the sciences, and really get more people into higher paying jobs. So I think somewhere, you know, with all that volunteering, I'm, you know, having more time to do that. Will definitely take up some of my time when I retire. And then, you know, I'd also like to get back into, like, I want to take piano lessons. I was,
Ooh.
you know, all through high school and college, I played the clarinet. So I, you know, maybe like to revisit my musical side, and, you know, see if I know how to play anything anymore. And of
Well,
course, spending time with, you know, family and friends, and all of that is very important as well.
yeah, absolutely. Well, it sounds jam-packed. And
Yes.
as usual, a lot of my retirees are harder to get a hold of than my worker bees because
Right.
they're doing all those things.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Well, good for
Exactly.
you. Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. It has been such a pleasure to have you on the Women in Wealth series.
Thank you, Regina. I always love talking to you, and I'm really happy that you invited me to participate today. So thank you very much.
Cool. And thanks everyone else for joining us. Again, I'm Regina McCann-Hess, president of Forge Wealth Management. Our website is forgewealth.com. You can follow me on Facebook and YouTube at Forge Wealth, and we're now on Instagram at Forge
Ooh.
Wealth Management. Woohoo! And LinkedIn, Regina McCann-Hess. Go make it a great day and check out some of the educational experiences that you may be able to participate in to help mentor somebody else. That's your action item today.